The heroes of the Trojan War. Characters: Helen, Paris, Hector, Aphrodite, King Agamemnon, King Tyndareus, King Priam, Achilles, Odysseus, Thetis, Iphigenia, Hermes, Prince Aeneas, Enon, Zeus, Hera, Menelaus, Athena.
Throughout the Iliad, Zeus aims to ensure a Trojan victory. Yet in spite of his commitment to the Trojans, Zeus doesn't have a particularly strong investment in the war actually coming to an end. Instead, Zeus seems more invested in ensuring that the war continues to rage on indefinitely. At the end of Book 7, for instance, the poet describes Zeus as a compulsive master strategist who perpetually plots fresh disasters for both opposing armies and terrifies Trojans and Achaeans alike with loud thunder strikes. Thus, fundamentally uninterested in any real end to human suffering, Zeus continues to foment the violence of a seemingly ceaseless war. In addition to his insatiable sexual appetite, Zeus has a notorious anger issues. He's particularly quick to anger with his wife Hera, who frequently plots against him. But he also rages against any and all god who would disobey his command. Zeus's wrath and sexual affairs have thematic significance in the poem because they mirror the human character flaws that sparks the action of the Iliad, namely Achilles' persistent rage and Agamemnon's sexual desires for Briseis.
Helen, the lovely wife of the Greek king Menelaus, was abducted by the Trojan prince Paris, prompting the Mycenaeans to declare war in Troy. Menelaus persuaded his Mycenaean brother Agamemnon to assault Troy and bring Helen back to Greece. Values: Menelaus is a perfect example of a hero who embodies the virtues of bravery and respect. He had a significant impact in the duel with Paris, the prince of Troy, to win back his wife from being taken to Troy, because he was the king of Sparta and Helen of Troy's husband.
Odysseus, the king of the island of Ithaca. Conflict: did not want to be away from his family and house for an adventure overseas for a faithless woman.
But the messenger from the Greek army arrived. The messenger was a shred too. He seized Odysseus' little son and put him directly in the way of the blow. Instantly, Odysseus turned the blow aside, thus proving that he had all his wits about him. However reluctant, Odysseus had to join the army.
Values: in the story, King Odysseus showed courage and bravery during the war.
Two greatest champions, Ajax and Diomedes, against Hector and Prince Aeneas. The prince near came to death at Diomedes' hands and his mother Aphrodite herself. After Diomedes wounded him, she came down to the battlefield, but Diomedes also took the chance to leap on Aphrodite and wounded her hands, knowing that she was a coward goddess. Because of pain, she let her son, Prince Aeneas, fall. Diomedes was not satisfied for what he had done to Aphrodite and Aeneas. He became savage against Trojan ranks until he finally faced Hector. But he was dismayed. He saw the murderous god of war was fighting for Hector's side. Diomedes trembled and cried to the Greeks to fall back. Hera and Athena stand and fight for him towards the terrible god and bellowed as loud as 10,000 cry in a battle. At that, joy filled the hero's heart. As a strong fighter, Diomedes also tremble in fear. In reality, we literally need a person who we can count on. And on the times we're feeling down and fight alongside with us to overcome the challenges of life.
Conflict. He adheres to the heroic code by fighting for honor and glory, but he does not always actively pursue battle. He has a strong instinct for self-survival that argues him to remove himself from danger and conflict with his desire to fight heroically. Values. Hector reflects his heroism through his selflessness and humanity, bravery, and loyalty. When Hector is first introduced in the Iliad, the primary reason for his involvement in the war is out of responsibility to his city and his family. His selflessness is shown throughout many of the speeches he makes during the war. Hector is portrayed as a very humane hero. He is affectionate to his wife and child. He defends his brother, fight in the war to defend Troy, and only kills out of necessity of war without reveling in death. These actions help the audience feel sympathetic for Hector and even empathize with him.
Helen, a beautiful, ingenuous, and charming wife of Menelaus, the king of Sparta, and she was considered as the most beautiful woman in the world, a beauty of a woman that launched 1,000 ships. Her abduction by Paris, prince of Troy, brought about the Trojan War. Also because of her beauty many men vie for her hand in marriage.
King Priam, the king of Troy and the father of Cassandra, Hector, and Paris. Conflict. King Priam's conflict is when he did not believe the prediction of his daughter Cassandra, and when he condoned the behavior of his son Paris, who wanted to keep Helen, the wife of the king of Sparta. Because of his tolerance, the king of Sparta decided to lift a war against the Troys. Values. We should not condone the wrongdoings of the people around us, especially if we know that it can cause huge problem and harm to others.
Paris. Trojan War in Greek mythology, war between the Greeks and the people of Troy. The strife began after the Trojan prince Paris abducted Helen, wife of Menelaus of Sparta. The conflict of Paris was he take an advantage of Helen's under magic cause of goddess Aphrodite to make Helen in love to him. So the queen of Greek, Helen, willingly left her husband Menelaus to be with Paris. If Paris didn't abduct the queen, there will be no war at all. And if he didn't get carried away by the promise of Aphrodite, he will not get in a war that ends of his kingdom.
Aphrodite's conflict. When the Trojan War broke out, Aphrodite supported the Trojans. Paris and her son, the protagonist Aeneas, were both Trojans, therefore explaining this. The god of war, Ares, was also convinced by her to aid Troy in the conflict. In the fight, Aphrodite played a significant role by defending Aeneas and Paris from harm. Aphrodite's values. Aphrodite was the Olympian goddess of love, beauty, pleasure, and procreation.
King Agamemnon. Conflict. When they were about to cross the sea, there was a strong wave and wind, because the Greeks killed the wild creature of Artemis. To calm the sea, they have to sacrifice the royal maiden, which is Iphigenia. As a father, it is painful for him to sacrifice his own daughter.
So what he did to make Greece succeed, he lied to his wife that their daughter would marry Achilles. But instead of going to the wedding with his daughter, he took her to the altar and killed her. Values. Sometimes we need to sacrifice something although it is painful. Just like what Agamemnon did, he sacrificed his daughter to calm down the sea in order for his army to get through the sea.